Which camera should you buy in 2023? Is the A7 IV still worth your money in 2023? Should you buy a ZV-E10? Is that still worth it? Should you buy the new Canon R8? Should you buy the R10? Stay tuned because we're going to cover all this and you're going to definitively know what camera is going to work great for you at the end of this video. Hey guys, I'm shooting on the A7 IV right now. Now I've had Nikons, I got the Canon R8 still. I originally started with the ZV-E10. This is a great camera. This is a great starter camera. It's a great little complementary camera to the A7 IV. And I also have, Canon. I'm in the Canon ecosystem too. I got the Canon R8 here. And I've tried Nikons and stuff as well. But is the A7 IV worth it in 2023 with these newer cameras coming out? Well, let me give you some reasons why I believe that if you're going to do any kind of professional work, I totally believe that the A7 IV is worth it. If you're going to do wedding photography, if you're going to do events, if you're doing any kind of paid work, to have the extra card slot, full HDMI, yes, I would say it's worth it. Well, first of all, let me say this. With some of the other Sony cameras, the A7 IV was the last spectacular camera they have released since. They have not released a camera that is worthy after the A7 IV. So I'll tell you that right now. The ZV-1 Mark II is kind of a disappointment because it's the same camera, it just has a couple updated features, but it's minute. The same sensor. I mean, I won't go into that. But Sony has like the A6600 still for sale for on Best Buy for $1,700, $1,800. Are you kidding me? You can buy a full frame camera and a lens for that. Sony, what are you doing? Okay. So as far as their other cameras, meh. Since the A7 IV, I wouldn't really recommend any of them since the A7 IV. But the A7 IV is an amazing camera. And let me tell you why. First of all, the 33 megapixel sensor is awesome. I mean, that's awesome. If you're into photos, you're getting really, it's a sweet spot. It really is. It's more than the 24, but it's not like the A7R5, you're getting 60 megapixels or whatever. But I think it's a really sweet spot for size and for quality. And the sensor on this thing is amazing. The low light sensor is really good on it, better than the R8. I've done tests on those if you want to check those out. So the sensor is amazing. And get this, crop mode in the A7 IV, because it's a 33 megapixel sensor and it's a backside illuminated and great in low light, you still get around 16 megapixels still, which is more than the ZV-E1. Now, obviously, the ZV-E1 is going to be better in low light, okay? However, you're only saving $300 on the camera, and you got no viewfinder. It's not a picture, it's not a hybrid. If you strictly video, it's still, I think it's a lower price, but that's just me. I'm not saying it's a bad camera. I'm just saying it's the wrong price. So even in APS-C mode, you're getting the 16 megapixels, which means that you can do the 4K 60 or use crop lens. Like let's say you have the ZV-10, you started there, right? And you have lenses for that. You can, on 4K 60 or crop mode, you could still use that on A7 IV, right? You won't even need to use the ZV-E10 in certain situations then. You could just switch it in a crop mode or it'll automatically switch. And you can use those lenses in 4K 60 and like the 11 millimeter 1.8, boom, you got a 16 millimeter full frame. And you're still at 17 megapixels, which is way more than enough for 4K. And it's like a 7K image downsampled to 4K. I just wanted to give you a quick look. This is 4K 60 with the same 35 millimeter 1.8 lens that I have on it on the 24 frames per second that I was just recording on. This is the 60 frames per second, so it crops in, right? So this is the crop mode, basically, of the A7 IV, the 60 frames per second. I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of what this looked like, because that way you can kind of compare it. You see, it still blurs out the background. Now, obviously, the 35 now has become more of like a 50-ish, a little over 50 millimeter. So now I have to come a little further back, but I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of what the 4K 60 looks like. So you can kind of see for yourself. Can you tell any difference in quality? Like, honestly, look at it. Now, if you're watching on a tablet, phone, whatever, you're not going to see the difference. I guarantee you that. Now, this is the 60, so obviously you're not going to have, that's all 125 shutter speed. But you're not going to have, the motion blur and everything. But some people like shooting in 4K 60. Yeah, I believe Tony and Chelsea Northrup shoot in 4Ks or 1080p 60 a lot. They used to, at least on the Canons that they were shooting on. They had mentioned in the video. So they like shooting in 60p. But, so I'm giving this a shot so you can see what it looks like, just so you can kind of get an idea. The crop mode, if you have a wider lens or you can just step back a few feet, then you're still fine. But you still got the 16 megapixels-ish after the crop. So the quality is still going to be there, and you can still crop in even more. Think about the ZV-E1, perfect, wonderful in low light, but you're already at 12 megapixels. So when you crop in more than that, you're getting to the point where you're going to start degrading the quality a little bit, even more so compared to the A7 IV. So for professional work, I definitely recommend the A7 IV over the ZV-E1. Absolutely. Even though I'd love to try the camera, it'd be great in low light, but I don't need that. I'm not shooting out in the swamps in the middle of the night. So just saying. And I'm not using it for professional work. So, but there it is. 4K 60 on the A7 IV. I'm not a color grading kind of guy and all into that. But you can see out of this camera, you get really good results. This is overkill for what you would need for YouTube. But at least you could grow into it. So I would recommend the A7 IV. I think it's an amazing camera. And not specifically to the A7 IV, but the lens selection on the Sony system it's the best. It really is. I mean, yeah, Canon, you can adapt lenses, but come on, man. You don't want to buy a new camera and have to buy older lenses to adapt to your new camera. If you already have all the lenses, that's okay. But if you're just getting into a system, or you're already into the Sony ecosystem, I mean, that's a hard sell. Because even if you could save $1,000 on the camera, you still got to buy lenses. But if you already have the lenses, you have the A7 IV, you got yourself an amazing camera. However, looking into the future, the new A6700 APS-C camera, I think, there's rumors coming around it's going to come out like $1,900. Ridiculous. You got the XS10 from Fuji coming out at $1,299, okay, or $1,399 with the 15 to 45 lens. $1,399. It's got the IBIS, it's got all that, and their autofocus is getting better now. It's not as far back as it used to be, so they're catching up. Sony, we really need to put it into gear on your APS-C cameras if you're gonna hybrid. If you really want to compete with Fuji and Canon, because they're coming after you. So hopefully they can move forward with that. That's kind of in the weeds, but just thought I'd give you a little, extra. That's an extra bonus for you. But so the A7 IV, I think it's still an amazing camera. I'm keeping it. I'm not getting rid of it. I had gotten the Z5, the Nikon. I've tried some other cameras, but the R8, the ZV-E10, and the A7 IV are my three favorites so far. The R8 is one of my favorites. But I had R5, or the R10s, and I didn't. It's just not up. The ZV-E10 looks better than the R10. It's better in low light. Even though the sensor's older, it's still it's better for video. If you're going to do pictures, okay, get the R10. Absolutely. If you're going to do, but the ZV-10 takes amazing pictures too. It just doesn't have a viewfinder. So it's up to you. If you use a viewfinder, then go with the R10. If you don't use a viewfinder, I still recommend you get the ZV-E10 because they got way more lenses too. So Sony is a good ecosystem to get into. A7 IV is an amazing camera. The way it is, it works great. I've never had it overheat on me or anything like that. So would I recommend it? Yeah, I would recommend it. But I also like to look at alternatives. If you're just starting out and you don't have a camera yet and your budget is $1,000 or less, I'd say the ZV-E10 is the way to go. I got a little cage on here. It just it just gives you more of a grip. And you can get those for about $45-50. And it's not necessary, but it just makes it feel better in your hand. But even regardless of that, you got great lens selections. I mean, for under $1,000, you can get the 16 millimeter lens used. You can get a 1.4 from Sigma. You can get this camera for $699, or used for around $599, $550. Under $1,000, you are good to go. And if you want to add another lens, you can get the Sigma 30, the Sigma 56. You can get the 17. You can get some zoom lenses. I mean, there's so many options, and there's whatever price range you want to move into. Or you can even buy one of these, knowing that you're going to move up to something like the A7 IV or a future camera like the A7C2, if that ever happens. You can buy full frame lenses for this, right? And then when you do get an A7 IV, you already have full frame lenses, and you can still interchange them between the two for B cam. So that's an option for you. So that's why the A7 IV is a good idea. But if you're not in that budget range, that's $2,500 plus lenses. So that's, I don't know about you, but to me, that's a lot of money, especially if you're not making money on them. You know, you want to be able to have something that you can use and it's going to cost you an arm and a leg, you know? So, you know, I scrimped and I saved and I sold and I got the A7 IV, and that's the one I bought. So, and I'm happy with my purchase. Now, if you want to one step up from this and you're okay with the Canon system or you already have Canon lenses, then I recommend the R8. The R8 is an amazing camera. You know, it still has the swivel screen just like the A7 IV and all that. All the newer cameras have that. That's nothing new. But it's small, it's compact. Get yourself, this is now $1,500. Okay, so you get a couple primes. There's no Sigma, there's no third party, and that's the problem I have with Canon. So I am not planning on investing in another Canon camera, strictly because there is a limit of where I can go with the lenses. This is the 16 millimeter on here now. You get the 16 millimeter for like a vlogging style, and you get the 35 millimeter for just run and gun type shooting. The 35 1.8 is an amazing lens. And the 2.8 16 millimeter is great for like the vlogging style thing. And then if you wanted to throw in an 85, they still have an 85 f2, I believe, which would be a fine lens for portrait photography. And you're still all set. So they have what you need. So if that's all you need, and you're not shooting professionally at events and weddings, which you could still use this for that, but you have to recognize there's only one card slot, which I'm okay with. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I'd rather not pay for that extra and save the money on the camera. So this is a great value camera for $14.99. Don't let people fool you. Oh no, it's, it doesn't have two card slots. It's the micro HDMI. Well, chances are you're not going to be buying $3,000 lenses and buying a Canon R8, okay? Like, if you're going to spend $3,000 on their lenses, you're probably going to get the R6 II or the R5. You're going to get their higher flagship cameras, okay? So I'm talking about general run-of-the-mill, you and me, normal people, or in creation and YouTube channels or things like that, or doing music video, whatever. If you're doing it for yourself and not getting paid and they have to rely 100% on, oh no, if I miss this record button then I'm out thousands of dollars, well, that's different. Most people, this is a great camera, and there are enough lenses, if you stick with the lower end lenses, that'll work for you. And if those three focal ranges work for you, they don't really have a lot of good zooms. I mean, you can get the 24 to 105 f4, that's $1,000 though, that's f4, $1,000. I mean, you can get the 28 to 200 Tamron on the A7 IV for like $600, and it's 28 to 200, 2.8 to 5.6. Come on, man. That's a no-brainer. You're getting double the focal range. That's an amazing lens at almost half the price. So you got to really look at the ecosystem you're going to get in. So you cannot go wrong with the A7 IV. I'll close that out by saying this. It's a great camera. It works wonderful. If you know you're going to get into professional work, or you are already, I do recommend 100% the A7 IV is the camera to buy. The only camera to buy right now from Sony as far as professional work, $2,500 or less. That's it. The A7 IV. I mean, you can get the A7 III, and that works great too. But it's kind of older tech. But it'll do the events and all that. It still has dual card slots. So you get the A7 III. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're just going to do talking head stuff, and that works great too. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm more of the, you get the A7 IV, if you're going to buy one starting out, or if you can get a great deal on A7 III for like $800 or something, like you get like an amazing $900 deal or maybe $1,000, pick it up. You know, that's fine. That's a good camera. I mean, autofocus is still great. That was one of the best cameras ever when it came out. That was like setting the stage for Sony. But if you know you're going to want to eventually move up, A7 IV is a great buy. It's a great buy. It's a professional camera, and it works great. You can definitely do events and all that with it. So I do recommend it 100%. Like the Canon R8 is $1,000 less. So is it still worth it to pay for the A7 IV? With the Canon R8, you'll save $1,000 on just the camera. Now, A7 IV is better in low light. Okay, so if you do shoot a lot of low light and you plan on doing, theatrical low light type movies, okay, A7 IV would be a better option, I believe. Autofocus is a little better on the A7 IV, not a whole lot though. Canon R8 is good, and you can do 4K uncropped 60 on this. So I know it's not about the Canon R8, but just wanted to make sure that I let you know about some of the other options out there. All right, guys, I hope that helps you out a little bit. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you want to see any videos, let me know. I'll be happy to do it. I like this. This is what I do. I like to have fun. All right, guys, have a great day. Thank you.